Dean Huijsen interest. Liam the lap clause asks David Ornstein. Mr. Harry J, who I think is just a subscriber to the Athletic, like myself. Hi, David. Do you know of any names of centre backs that Liverpool are looking for this summer? Hi, Harry. Yes, I now understand that Liverpool are among the clubs with a firm interest in Dean Huijsen. This has been reported elsewhere and is accurate. Chelsea have inquired, and Arsenal are in the mix too, which is interesting. At the moment, those are perhaps the three leading contenders, but not the only ones, with Newcastle and Tottenham also keen. I believe they've all held meetings or conversations with Huijsen's camp in the past week, but I'm not aware of offers being made just yet, so the direction of travel remains unclear. Now, again, it's not unforeign that every sporting director, every club is talking to players like the Zubamendi's, the Nico Williams, potentially Isaac, Gyökeres, all of these guys where Arsenal are concerned, and likewise with others that that could be to gauge interest. You could have an informal meeting and they don't want to sign for you, or it goes positive. You see the framework, what sort of years do they want on their deal, the wages, their willingness to join, tell them about their project and whatnot. Kind of gauge the agent's willingness to do their part on behalf of the buying club to kind of make this move happen. And then you take that information, obviously take the next steps. Now, I don't know whether to read into this. I think where you look at Arsenal, we need to add quality to our starting 11, and we potentially need depth and level raises and different options. But we've got Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes. No clue of where the contracts are at. Saliba's still linked with Real Madrid. But where you look at Huijsen, I know he's got a release clause in the region of 50 odd million. If it is that extreme, are Arsenal going to spend that when we've got them two at centre half and we have to spend probably 50 million on Zubamendi, similar kind of fee on Nico Williams? Gyökeres, you see anything from 50 to 100 million. And this is without speaking about, 20 odd million on Garcia and the left back and anything else Mikel Arteta wants. Of course, there's speculation and hopefully Berta can do a madness in terms of outgoings to offset this. But where you look at Huijsen, if you believe Arsenal's the place for you, you're a good player. You've done very well in the Premier League. I do think where you look at Bournemouth and they're playing out from the back and the pressing and kind of Areola's ethos, I can see why it would work at Arsenal. If you believe you can challenge Saliba or Gabriel Magalhaes, fair play. And obviously, we want to be a team that can compete in 4 competitions. There's been times where we haven't been able to rest Gabriel or Saliba, and quote unquote, sometimes we've had to do without them. So I'm all for it. But you look at Liverpool, it looks like Van Dijk signing a new deal, and you do have Konate. Yes, it's a massive club. Liverpool got an exciting project. You can imagine you slot in there. Chelsea ain't really got a decent defender, so you get to live in London and play for a big club. Spurs, don't do that to yourself, even if Romero and Van der Ven are linked with moves elsewhere. It is well documented that Real Madrid held great appeal for Huijsen growing up, and they do like him, but I don't know of them actively working on it. And therefore, at the time of writing, it looks like most probably he'll join another Premier League club. I think there's a desire on the part of Bournemouth and the player to have this situation decided as soon as possible. I mean, spare a thought for Bournemouth. Their manager's probably drawing interest. They make a tidy profit. I think they spent 12 million on Huijsen from Juventus, and if they sell him for 50 odd, it's a decent profit. They're probably going to lose Kirkes potentially with Liverpool concerned, and I don't know where Semenyo is in that fold, people. They want to have the situation decided as quickly as possible. The 50 million in bracket 64.8 million release clause makes it a clean and potentially quick deal to do, which again, on Bournemouth's willingness to do this, can Arsenal, you look at Gyökeres, Zubamendi, Nico Williams, Garcia, Sesko, and obviously Huijsen, they all have release clauses. Now, Arsenal know the ballpark figure. If Bournemouth have a willingness, what if we pay you a little more and we tailor the move in a way that makes sense for our accountants or our accounting? Whether Bournemouth want to do that and they just want their money straight up, I would if I was Bournemouth, because everybody's interested. If he's made clear he genuinely wants to leave, and if it's kind of coming out now, or just in general, if you're a competent club like the Brightons and Brentford, probably when they signed Huijsen, probably didn't expect his rise this quickly. But imagine that we get him on the cheap, we'll sell him on the high to pastors new. We're looking at his replacement and all of those kind of things. But you want to do that. You want to sell him as quickly as possible and get as much money as possible in the most favourable terms. If Arsenal won't pay, their clubs have been linked with him, people. Maybe their consideration which we've seen Liverpool capitalize on in the past. Maybe their consideration is influenced by the lack of development so far in Ibrahima Konate's contract situation. And you imagine Huijsen would have a good chance of starting alongside Virgil van Dijk if he signed. I guess Chelsea could just say the same about starting beside Levi Colwill, while you imagine similar amounts of game time would come his way at Newcastle and Spurs, who have Romero and Van der Ven who have struggled. Arsenal's a bit trickier with Saliba and Gabriel in the stew for now, but with Kivior, if Kivior was to be sold, you could envision Huijsen playing a lot a lot as part of their centre back unit. And from what I hear, Mikel Arteta and Andrea Berta are huge fans of this Spain international. So we'll have to see exactly. On Kai Havertz, who actually posted something on Instagram, Ornstein said it looks and sounds like his recovery is going well. So perhaps they'll try and reintegrate him before the season finishes, if it is safe to do so, and there's something to play for. Get ready for the Champions League final, mate. Liam Delap, which isn't relevant, but apparently everybody and their nan's linked with him. He's got a 30 million release clause, and he probably will sign for another Premier League team. Ornstein has said, someone has asked, hello, Ornstein. As you reported, Gyökeres featured more prominently on our Arsenal striking list. With the introduction of Andrea Berta, how does that affect Arsenal's interest in Benjamin Sesko? Is he still regarded as one of the top options? Does Berta rate him? Hi, Aaron. Arsenal have done a significant amount of work on Sesko over a long period. He's clearly a super talent who is doing really well, and I'm sure he'll continue to flourish. My colleague James McNicholas detailed recently that Arsenal have some reservations. It's come out now. So perhaps Mikel Arteta and Berta are prioritizing others. We've previously reported on Isak/Gyökeres. That doesn't mean to say Sesko is out of the equation, but perhaps Arsenal is not looking like his most probable destination at this moment in time. We know Man United rate him highly too. I seem to recall being their top or a more prominent target last summer before he decided to stay at Leipzig and sign a new contract. He is also among the names Chelsea are considering, and I'm sure other top clubs are too. It's not a cheap deal to do, but none of these are. And if/when Sesko does move, it seems whoever wins the race will be getting a gem. The talk around Arsenal and left wingers seems to be particularly quiet. Do you believe this is one of the priority positions? And if so, who are some of the names the club is pursuing? A wide attacker has been on the agenda for some time, and I do hear left wing is a position they are considering this summer. We all know Nico Williams is a player Mikel Arteta admires, but that doesn't mean it will happen. There'll be many names in the frame. For example, Arsenal are one of multiple top clubs who would like Anthony Gordon, but again, it doesn't seem much unless something develops, and we have no indications of that yet. It's still very, very early, people. Is there anything else Arsenal related here? Where do you think Ivan Ferguson ends up? Hasn't said anything there. Cunha, again, being linked with Spurs, as is Jamie Gittins and Liam Delap. They're vaguely linked with Arsenal. So, yeah, we've gone over Huijsen. And again, what he wants and what actually happens are two different things. But he's previously said Ancelotti's a great coach. There's a reason he's at Madrid. My idol has always been Sergio Ramos since I was little. And also, you've got to remember, it's Real Madrid. A friend sent me a report about Real Madrid wanting me, and told me I should join. Do I want to join Real Madrid? It's a huge club and everyone wants to play in the biggest stage. Let's see what happens. This seems like somebody that is acting like he ain't been here before and absolutely twerking. On the topic of Real Madrid, Court offside is saying Real Madrid are set to make an 85 million approach to sign William Saliba from Arsenal. We've gone over the Benjamin Sesko stuff already. We've gone over Gordon. There will be many names in the frame. For example, Arsenal are one of the multiple clubs who like Anthony Gordon, but again, it doesn't mean much unless something develops, and we have no indication of that. I mean, Gordon off the left with Gyökeres and Saka in, the Kai Havertz, the Martinelli's, potentially Trossard, Wanyeri, potentially another guy in the sharing the workload and in amongst it would be good. So yeah, man, I'd say the best bit is obviously transfer news, but happy to see Kai Havertz's return is being done well. And we've gone over this already, people, but it does look good there. Edu Gaspar has announced, officially confirmed his farewell from Arsenal on Instagram, people. Arsenal's head of recruitment, James Ellis, is expected to leave the club at the end of the season as part of their recruitment shake-up, sources have told Football Insider. Admittedly, did he not officially join with Edu? So either Berta, the Cronkies, there seems to be a change of stuff. On the topic of changes, there's stability. We all know Arteta signed a new deal recently, and finally, several members of staff have. Arteta staff members Carlos Cuesa, Albert Stevenberg, Inaki Kanya, Nicholas Hover, Miguel Molina have all signed new deals at the club. It's all complete, as SR Collins reports. Big him up. They're considered crucial by the club and, of course, the coach, Mikel Arteta. Fair enough. Chelsea are leading the race to sign Sunderland midfielder Bellingham, Joel Bellingham, ahead of Man United, Arsenal, Spurs, Brighton and Palace. Now, where you look at Jude Bellingham, his development has been handled spot on. He stayed at Birmingham, where, respectfully to Birmingham, you would imagine bigger clubs, probably from his age of 8, 9, 12 years of age, have been looking at him. He did his thing, earned his chops at Birmingham, went Dortmund. Now he's at Madrid and a key player. He's clearly got good advisors and family around him. Why would they not do the same for, pardon me, Job? The move is going to happen. Sunderland are in with a chance of being promoted. They got one of the youngest teams, I believe, in the Football League. He's playing a lot of football. Again, Chelsea's a massive club, London aspect. If they got proper plans for you, fair enough, but they've got probably more players than they can count. They even got their existing players like Lavia, like Caicedo, probably a bunch of other ones. They got the Santos lad on loan. Does it make sense? I could understand if you was enticed by Chelsea, if you was enticed by Arsenal with our lack of centre mids, really. I don't want to praise Spurs, but they have the youngest team, so that will probably offer you a lot of Premier League football. Man United is Man United. Brighton and Crystal Palace, it makes sense to go over there, if I'm honest with you, with what they've done. Arsenal have already banked 55.8 million in prize money for their efforts in Europe this season and are set to earn even more with 1 foot in the semi-finals, emphasis on 1 foot. Southampton are relegated. We're probably going to get some sort of clause if and when Aaron Ramsdale leaves. You'd imagine with it being a World Cup year, on a minimum, he has to depart Southampton on loan. West Ham are considering making a 20 million bid to sign the Southampton goalie, and he's still linked with Newcastle. Arsenal apparently held contract talks with Ethan Nwaneri, who's done quite well, spoken on that before. Fellow academy grad Miles Lewis-Skelly, 18, is also in line for a new contract, with those discussions already underway. Lewis-Skelly has become a key figure for Arsenal this season and was named in the starting 11 for Tuchel's first 2 games in charge of England, even scoring on his international debut versus Albania. And Nwaneri and Lewis-Skelly are viewed as crucial to Arsenal's future, and there's strong ambition at the Emirates Stadium to have both players tied down. The BBC Sport revealed last month that the club were due to open talks with Bukayo Saka over an extension to his deal that runs in 2027, while securing William Saliba and Gabriel Magalhaes' futures is also on the immediate agenda for Berta. So let's keep it going in that regards, man. Big up Gabriel Jesus. He's still, he's on an exercise bike after his ACL, which we love. Again, we've gone over that as well already, people. Earlier today, we was actually, if it's still there, if the article's still there, how would you lot feel about Lautaro Martinez? I don't seem to be able to see it here, people, but Lautaro Martinez has been linked with Arsenal. I don't necessarily buy that. Berta is moving to secure the futures of 2 players worth in excess of 90 million in a deal crucial for the future of the Gunners. Okay, so that's in relation to that. So we've seen that before. Indirectly or directly, Mikel Arteta did reveal after the game the 3-0 victory against Real Madrid. Arsenal 3, Real Madrid 0. Smash the like button for that. Upset people. That Gabi Magalhaes is out for 4 months with a hamstring injury. I hope all of these boys come back fit. Where you look at the Gabriel Martinellis, the Gabriel Jesuses, the Gabriel Magalhaes, the William Salibas, the Bukayo Sakas, the Kai Havertzes. It's a World Cup year next year. So I want everybody to stay fit in an ideal world for us. And those that are struggling for football with ambitions to play for their country, hopefully they move on and go elsewhere. So it's been a busy day, man. We've seen coaches sign new deals, potentially people leaving, Edu confirming his thing, indirectly some injury updates on Gabriel Jesus, Kai Havertz, and obviously Magalhaes. We obviously want Saliba, Saka, Gabriel, Nwaneri, and Lewis-Skelly to all commit to new deals. We've seen a new name in Huijsen, so we'll have to see how it goes, man. But can we keep going in the Champions League, and can we beat Brentford, man?